Hello. Hi. I don't know if you remember me, but we spoke a long time ago.
I was happy to be in one of your videos.
I didn't know you were Ahmadiyya.
Oh, you didn't realise?
No, my apologies.
But you must have told me he's a...
Yeah, probably in the title.
Yeah. Well, actually, it was also your channel I saw stuff. Because I watch your channel.
Oh,
and you, because it's interesting, because sometimes I like to understand.
Let's do a random video.
Oh, then why not? Yeah.
I don't even know what we're talking about, but you were watching my channel.
Right, yeah. So I don't know if you know what the sort of stuff.
Introduce you. You're Chris, right?
Yes, I'm Chris. Yeah. Chris at Speaker's Corner.
Chris at Speaker's Corner.
Yeah.
I'm Khalid. Hopefully you know my channel. Anyway, so let's go for it. What is it that you want to talk about?
So what I wanted to sort of have a quick chat about was I appreciated some of your videos you put up on your channel.
Yeah.
Because you actually gave an opinion that is contrary to what I've heard other Muslims say at this corner.
Oh yeah,
which is
I do that a lot. Yeah.
Yes. I'm coming to learn this.
Yes.
And I was interested in the Ahmadiyya perspective.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's a sect of Islam, and there are more Ahmadiyyas I'm seeing here. And I thought, it'd be interesting to know exactly what you guys believe and how it differs from Sunni Islam, I guess. So I was looking and I saw a video where you were talking about, well, actually, many Sunni Muslims will say that Allah does not enter His creation.
Right.
And you were like, well, no, actually, there's a verse in the Quran that kind of makes it clear that Allah is at least in His creation. And my friend here, he gave the verse. I don't know the name of the surah, but it's Surah 6, Ayah 3, I think.
Sure, I mean, I could give loads of references. I've got a whole bunch here. But there's let me just list them out, actually. I've got a whole list of them.
You've done your homework.
Stuff, So I just kind of to be honest, a lot of the topics are so strange and weird, and it's actually quite insulting to God to say that God is trapped in one place or the other.
I agree with that, yeah.
He's omnipresent, well, that's part of being all powerful,
Yes, indeed.
Also, we should stick to what the Holy Quran is saying. So let's get my massive list of where is Allah. There's my list of
where is Allah,
right?
Right, okay. Yeah.
So there's a verse that says, and you can see it here, and He it is who is God in heaven and God in earth. Can you see that one?
Yep.
Quran chapter 43, verse 84, and I call it Sunni numbering,
right?
Because the Sunnis don't count the first verse of the Holy Quran.
The Bismillah.
Yeah, which is really weird because they're actually insulting the Holy Quran by saying that there are extra verses of the Holy Quran that are not supposed to be there.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? It's a bit weird.
I agree with that actually. I've noticed it very odd that they don't do that. But hey, it is what it is, I guess.
And the Quran says it is perfect. So they wouldn't have extra verses lying around,
Sure, yeah. I think that's more consistent than the Sunni perspective.
Yeah. So what's special about Ahmadi Muslims? We're 100% logical. We don't believe in myths. Like if there's a miracle, we can explain it. Yeah, logically, historically, and all sorts of things. Like the so-called parting of the Dead Sea. But let's focus on one topic, I think.
Yeah,
because
sure.
I did get distracted myself.
I know what it's like. Yeah.
But let's just go through a whole list of a lot of the Sunni Muslims, what they do is they mistranslate this verse by purpose.
Oh, okay.
And they say this word fi, means dominion. So God has dominion over heaven and earth.
Right.
Because they're trying to hide this because as soon as they believe God is in heaven and earth, right, their whole belief system collapses. Because they say the reason why they believe Jesus flew to heaven is because the verse of the Holy Quran says we raised him up to us.
Right, yes.
Right? But if God is already here, that doesn't make sense. Okay? And actually, the same word about raised, which really should be translated as exalted, okay, is said about Muslims who pray, they are exalted. The same thing. So you don't see Muslims flying when they pray, do you? Right? So
not usually.
You've never seen it. I've never seen it. Nobody's seen it.
True. Yeah.
Okay. So so it doesn't make the whole belief system doesn't make sense. So I talk about this like fi. This is such a basic thing in Arabic. Fi means in. Right. So you can't mistranslate it. And I'm trying to help out Sunni Muslims who fall for these mistranslations. They can ask anybody. Okay. And then there's so many other verses before. And actually, I mentioned that just 2 verses before, it says, Holy is our Lord of the heavens and the earth. So if you say it is dominion, you're repeating the same verse again.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So that'll be again insulting the Holy Quran by saying it's got repetition for no good reason, right? And then there's another one, Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you a funny answer. That do you know Muslim Lantern?
Yes.
Yeah. I asked him, but he didn't want to be on a video when I debated him, right? And he gave a really funny answer because although I would say Sunni Muslims are logical, they stop being logical when their beliefs are falling apart, right? So, you know, if Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth, that means He's everywhere, right? Okay. But what Muslim Lantern said to me, he said it was night time, and he said, look at that moon, okay? The moon is there, but it comes here. But somehow he forgot that the light of the moon is coming down here. That's why we can see the moon.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense. But generally, he's really logical. But as soon as his belief system falls apart, he doesn't. Do you get what I'm saying?
I do, and I agree. I agree that Muslims who are Sunni try to be logical as much as they can.
Yeah.
But I would, through my experience, say that there are points where it breaks down. And I'm interested to hear your perspective as Ahmadiyya, because I don't know much about Ahmadiyya.
Okay.
So,
I mean, should I tell you the really short version? We are people who believe in the second coming of Jesus and that He's already come.
Right.
And He came as metaphorical second coming.
Yes.
Just like Jesus believed in metaphorical second coming. Like when the Jews asked Him, how comes you can't be the Messiah? Because before you, Elijah was supposed to come down, right? And He said, Elijah has come down. That's John the Baptist. So he believed in metaphorical second coming as well.
I don't think it extends that way. I think what it means is that the Elijah that was supposed to come was not in the person, but rather in the role. You understand how you see?
Okay.
I wouldn't say that's metaphorical. I would just say it depends on what you mean by it, right? So, for example, in the Old Testament, you'll see things referring to Israel.
Right.
But really, they're not referring to like a piece of land. Sometimes they're referring to the people in the land. Or sometimes it actually is talking about the borders. So, I mean, again, it depends on the context for what the word means. That's all I'm getting at.
That'll probably be a different debate. When you say children of Israel, Israel is Prophet Jacob, right? It's not a land exactly. It's not Israel.
Well, no, because you can find references where they would actually be using it to describe a borders or an area. Do you understand what I mean?
Oh, okay, maybe. Okay, so I'm just going to whiz through some more, like to make a coherent video.
Sure, yeah.
But I thought I'd at least explain because you said who are Ahmadi Muslims, that's who we are, right?
Sure.
Okay, there's Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. Another one is, and to Allah belongs the east and the west. So wherever you turn, there is the face of Allah. Indeed, Allah is all-encompassing and knowing. So He's everywhere, all-encompassing.
Oh yeah, all-encompassing does seem to imply everywhere.
Yeah, and if He's you face this way, you face that way, God is there.
So in a Christian perspective, when we think of omnipresence, basically what we think of is that if God is all-knowing and He's all-powerful, then there is a meaningful way that He is here. Because He knows everything here and He can interact with everything here. We wouldn't say that God is physical in the sense that God is like in this microphone somehow.
Oh, perfect. I'm glad because we don't believe God is made out of atoms.
Ah, okay, cool.
Yeah? He's omnipresent, but let's say, based on our very limited understanding, we could say He's like another dimension.
Okay.
Yeah, so He's, because...
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, He's not... If you say He's physical, that's also limiting God.
Yeah,
that means you can push God around, right? Which is not true, right? But you can be everywhere, despite not being physical. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Cool. All right.
And let's kind of try to get through this list. And He is wherever you are. The ... means there's a bit,
Yeah, there's more book for. I understand that. That's fine.
And again, I should be referring to all the different verses, but I'll probably, I'll mention it actually. So Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth is Quran chapter 24, verse 35. And to Allah belongs the east and the west, etc. Is Quran chapter 2, verse 115. And then we, that is the royal plural of God.
Sure,
you know that one, right? We are nearer to Him, that is man or human being, than even His jugular vein. So jugular vein, for people who don't know, is kind of like your life artery. You've got to be a way of describing it, isn't it, right? You chop that off, you're dead. You're in big trouble, right?
Okay.
So that is chapter 50, verse 16. Where else? And He is wherever you are, chapter 57, verse 4. Like, there's such a long list. God is making it so obvious, yet people are desperate to deny it because they want to stick to their belief system, which is Jesus is superhuman, which is really interesting because it's almost like they want to be Christians. They want to make Jesus more powerful than Prophet Muhammad, that He's flying and he flew to heaven. Okay, and by the way, in the Quran, Muhammad doesn't have the power of flying to heaven.
This is what I saw on your videos. Yeah.
Yeah, there's here it is. Look, very interesting. I went to two YouTubers, Hamza's Den and Ali Dawa, and they refused to debate me. They're too scared. There's so many people that they can't debate me, right? And people say, why don't you debate X, Y, and Z? They don't want to debate me.
I know the trouble. Trust me.
Okay. And so I'll quickly mention it, but it's a bit of a sidetrack. There's this verse of the Holy Quran is really simple. It says, this is the enemies of Prophet Muhammad are making a massive list of demands. You should do this and that. And in this last one, the last of their demands is you should have a house of gold, or you should go to heaven, and we will not believe you until you come down with a book that we can read. And then God says, say, this is a command, this is God's will or rule. Holy is my Lord, he's saying, say to Prophet Muhammad, this is the rule. Holy is my Lord, I am only a man sent as a messenger. Yeah. So if you're a man and a messenger, you don't get to fly to heaven while you arrive. Guess what? According to Muslims, Jesus is a man and a messenger, therefore he cannot fly. So it's really simple logic, but all the Muslims really try to deny it. And I've got the whole list of potential things that they say. They say, for example, this is just Prophet Muhammad is saying, submitting to God's will. What is God's will? God's defined his will here. He said, my will is you're a man and a messenger, you don't get to fly to heaven, whoever you are.
And in the Quran, there's no other verse where it says that Allah took Muhammad to heaven, to Jannah. Not in the Quran.
You mean like hadith or something?
No, just in the Quran. There's no verse in the Quran that says that Allah took Muhammad to Jannah. Correct?
I don't think so. And
I don't think there is. I don't think there is.
I've never.
Because in the hadith,
yes,
the Sunnis would say, well, actually, there is hadith that says that through Barak, is it Barak? The winged.
Barak, yeah, the winged.
To the Isra, and then Al-Maraj, and it went up to heaven.
And people think we deny that, but we don't.
You don't deny that, okay.
But, okay, the thing is, we say it's a spiritual dream, and it has to be.
Okay.
Logically, again, we always logical. We don't just make claims, because in that dream, he went to the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which didn't exist.
I agree that it didn't exist.
Right?
That is correct from what I've
looked at. It had to be metaphorical, spiritual, meaningful. And it's really sad that they miss all the meanings. Like, maybe you can guess, because loads of Muslims can't seem to fathom anything particularly meaningful or spiritual, because they only take everything literally. So do you think, can you guess what is the meaning of all the prophets praying behind Prophet Muhammad? Can you guess?
Praying behind?
Because that's what happened in Al-Aqsa Mosque in this dream.
Is that because Muhammad led the prayer, so is that it? Or
yeah. So what do you think is, now I've kind of demonstrated, it cannot be physical because the mosque didn't exist.
Okay,
because you maybe you could, as a Christian, so when they say that, then they stop listening as well. It's really
they've figured out your Ahmadiyya.
Right. And they're really scared.
I know he's Ahmadiyya.
Right. So, what was I saying? Yeah, so now we've kind of logically explained that it cannot be a physical thing because the mosque didn't exist.
I agree with that, yeah.
Then I'm interested in you explaining to Muslims, because they've got to the stage where they don't really think deeply about anything. They just think, that everything's literal for them. So what do you think is the meaning of all the prophets of the past praying behind Prophet Muhammad in this dream?
Well, just off the top of my head, it looks like it's a way of showing excellency in Muhammad over the prophets. Is that how you would interpret that, or I don't know?
I would say that as well, but also in the Quran it said that all people were given messengers.
Right, okay.
Right, but this is the final and perfect religion, the first one for all of humanity. All the other ones, according to Islam, like Christianity or let's say Judaism, were only for specific people, for the children of Israel, for example. That's what the Quran says. The Quran doesn't say Jesus is going to be for everybody.
I know.
The Quran says he's only come for the people of Israel, the children of Israel, Okay, so this is a uniting religion. But also, superiority as well. So anyway, I'm just thinking, is there anything on the list?
Once you're done, I'd like to ask you something. If that's cool.
Yeah, go on.
So Sunni
I'm
Muslims,
done,
that's fine. Sunni Muslims, they often, if they're Salafi in particular, they will affirm the literal interpretation of Allah's body parts. So for example, in Surah 68, Ayah 42, it might be slightly different from your reading, but it says that Allah will reveal his shin at the day of resurrection. So I've had conversations with Muslims where they say, that is a shin, but we won't tell you how it is. We can't tell you anything about it, but Allah has revealed to us it is a shin, so we say it's a shin. What's the Ahmadiyya perspective on that?
So I don't know that one, but I literally makes me laugh that reduce it. Why would God need a shin?
Yeah.
And also like they Sunni Muslims say all sorts of weird things that I usually try to avoid here, because when I came here, I knew that Sunni Muslims are not very logical, and they're usually like just insult me. You know, I was actually focusing on the Western, but since I've came here, I've been like going through all these silly, ridiculous ideas that they come up with. Some of them are so ridiculous. Like, why would God need a shin? And then they say things like, God is above a throne.
Yes,
like,
above his arsh.
God say the arsh, right?
Yeah.
Like, what does God need a throne for, right?
Yeah.
It's not that it's not there, but it's really simple to understand. Like, he's got this place of like authority. It's really simple. Like, if you think about it,
that's how I would understand it.
Yeah.
And that's how we see it, like in the Old Testament, when it talks about the arm of the Lord, for example. We don't think in the Old Testament the immaterial spirit of God had an arm. We don't think that. So.
Yeah, and it's so simple. And then they say God is above the throne. That means he's in effect in a prison where there's a little throne somewhere, and he has to be above it.
Well, it also, so I believe, I might forget this, check this first. Surah 42, Ayah 11 in the Sunni reference.
Sure.
I think that's a verse where it says that Allah is not like his creation, he's not like anything like it.
Right,
but of course, if you say that he's spatially relational to an object, that's a property that humans have.
That's right.
Which wouldn't make sense, right?
Yeah, it
so
doesn't
now we're making Allah like creation. So there's problems there.
Yeah. So and even in the what's the chapter Ikhlas, I can't remember the verse, chapter 114, maybe one of the last.
Yes.
He says there's nothing comparable to God.
Same in that,
so why, if God is a shin, is definitely comparable to human beings. So it falls apart so easily. But all these top YouTubers won't debate with me because and it's very interesting that they'll debate anybody except me. It's very interesting, isn't it? Maybe they had a bad time when Sheikh Mohammed debated me. And
I need to watch that actually. I think you have a video of that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've had my runnings with Sheikh Mohammed as well. I think it's something that at least we agree with. Now, obviously, there's a lot we disagree with. There's a ton.
Yeah.
I will bring one up that I'm curious about what you think.
Sure.
Do you think that we have free will?
Yes,
Okay.
but limited free will.
What do you mean in that context?
So I mean that God knows the things we might or might do. Sorry, I've got a couple.
And within that, that's implied that you can choose.
Yes.
Right, okay.
So we do have the free will to do the right and wrong things.
Right.
But we can't flap our arms and start flying and stuff.
Oh,
like
okay.
that.
Right,
There's some
yeah.
basic
That's
limitations put on us.
Yeah, that's
and I
fine.
think, like, God to us, that's pretty not even a fair comparison. But like, if you see a 5-year-old kid, you can predict he's going to do X, Y, Z, whatever, right? Because we're smarter than a 5-year-old kid.
Sure.
God is so infinitely smarter. He knows all the different
it's the same as us in a sense. Like I've heard the analogy: when you see a shadow coming across the corner, you know someone's coming, right?
Yeah.
But it's the same with God, but God knows it with certainty. That's the only real difference there.
Yeah.
I would agree with that perspective.
Yeah. And I also think God can bend time. We already know time can be bent. Right?
Yeah, from a
so
science.
Maybe I'm just saying another possibility, because we don't know the mind of God, but I can see we have free will, and the fact that God knows what we're going to do is not necessarily a contradiction. It's only a limitation on our ability to think about it. And I think I don't think we should just believe random things. So that's why I'm offering possibilities. Like, we already know time can bend. It bends already around any big object, especially things like the sun and stuff. So why not bend it a whole 360 possibly? Who knows?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, that was kind of where I wanted to come in from, really. I just wanted to talk about that because you highlighted you gave me an argument against Sunni Muslims when they try to say that Allah is not in His creation. And thank you for that. Like, that's useful for me. And likewise, I share a lot in common with your belief, much more so than Sunni Islam. We reject a lot of what you say, and you reject a lot of what I say. But it's good that we can have at least this dialogue, and we can talk these things through. Obviously, as someone who is a believer in Christ, I pray one day you'll come to Jesus and you'll accept Him, and you'll leave Ahmadiyya religion. But I know that full well that you would say something similar to me about my faith.
Yeah,
so.
And I appreciate your prayers. Like, people get angry all the time. We're supposed, like, one thing we're famous for, Ahmadi Muslims, we have love for all and hatred for none. Like, you say that, I see it, like, I take it a genuine thing of love, And I say, thanks for praying for me. That's you genuinely see that I should be a Muslim. You're praying for me. Fantastic, thank you. And I'll pray for you and stuff like that. And even Bob, the other Christian guy, Bob. He said, Ahmadiyya are the most intellectual and polite Muslims there
That's
are.
my experience at this park,
Thank you. And always enjoy your time.
Yes,
because every time we
indeed.
debate, we have a good conversation.
Yeah, I like it. It's nice and relaxed.
Yeah.
It's good. I like your attitude. It's nice. It's refreshing.
Yeah, and I appreciate talking to you.
All right, well, God bless. Have a lovely day.
God bless you.
Take care.
Wrap up or just leave it live?
Yeah, we can do a wrap up. I don't know if he wants to do a wrap up or. I mean, are you going to do a wrap up on your thing? Do you want to do a wrap up? Is that?
That's already stopped already.
Yeah, also fine then.
Yeah,
I'm just going to give a summary.
Professional. I just.
Oh, sorry. It's a habit at this point because JC always makes us do
it.
it.
Still recording?
Yeah, I'm just going to do a wrap up to summarise that. You can jump in if you want. It's up to you.
You can ask me if you want, but I'm.
Yeah, no, it's a quick summary.
Yeah,
Cool. Are we all good? Yeah. What was your name again?
Khalid.
Khalid.
Khalid Safir. Khalid,
That's nice. Awesome. Thank you for that. Apologies. I knew it was Cass something, but I couldn't quite get it.
It's Chris is easy to remember, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very, very common
You're
name.
more famous than me. Yeah.
No, that's all. Anyways, I just had a lovely chat with an Ahmadiyya Muslim. And the reason I had a chat with Khalid was because I had seen his YouTube channel and I had seen the kind of videos he made. And he made some very interesting points regarding what Sunni Muslims often say about how Allah cannot enter his creation. And he said, wait, there is a verse in the Quran, if not many verses in the Quran, where it's clearly said that Allah actually is in his creation. And that these Sunni Muslims often take these verses out of context. They play with the Arabic to give an impression that Allah does not actually enter his creation. And I found that very, very interesting. And I loved the chat that we just had. It was very kind of interfaith dialogue. And it was very nice. Obviously, I don't agree with everything he says. He doesn't agree with everything I say. But it's good that we can at least have this dialogue and have a good faith discussion at Speaker's Corner. Obviously, I wish he would come to Jesus, and I hope he does. In my heart, I would love if that was happening for him. But I will keep praying for him, and maybe one day, Lord willing, he will do so. So thank you very much. God bless you all.